Sonata in E minor, a short story. The igneous intensity of the hot elements casts an orange, throbbing, bobbing shadow in spots across the vineyards, contoured, watered from below, licked around the dark hills. The gates of delight are locked hard and brassy. Sam parks on the road front, stands there, just observes. The building, the bordello, glows and bursts from the inside as it is consumed. It doesn't take long for the fire to overwhelm its structures, but once it collapses, it continues to burn in a fierce heap of vapours. It is 3 stories, an old building, perhaps pre-war. The roof is slate and heavy, and soon falls with a crack. It is plain, externally, discreet that is. Nothing announces it as a brothel, as distinct from a small villa on its own plot. There is a garden and a fountain. The whole place is alight and primal when Sam arrives. Straightforward Sam, Sam of the land, Sam of simple things. It starts in the ground floor, he can see. It spreads, searching out wooden beams to eat, lick and spit. It is recently shut for business, this establishment. There is no one inside, and while he is there, no one arrives. He watches the fire alone. He expects someone will arrive in the continental ambience, the pastoral, but while he is there, no one ventures. Why does no one come? The glow brings none. Because he is watching alone, the progress of the heat, its choices, its inevitability, become a matter of attention for him, and he gazes almost from an engineering point of view. The weak joints in the structure, as well as having a hypnotized fascination for its purity and power. He can hear its choruses, but all fires are secret keeping. He notes all the colours, blue flames, red, purple flames, white fingers, hot white fingers, and the orange glow into the surrounding vineyards. The establishment, the Musc du Miel, the house of musk honey, is about 3 miles out of town on a harvest lane with discreet hedges, leafy, a medieval roadway, and elms overhanging in green and overgrown in spurious disguises. Vincent, his brother, is, Sam must say, it is a buttress in his heart, the whole cardia of him, a harmless man, and a good man, and a talented, sensitive man. When they are lilting children, he thinks Vincent has a huge, voluminous head. Not his physical cranium, but inside. Vincent's inner space seems to extend its palatial echoes much, much further than his own. They are not alike at all. There's no mirror between them. Vincent moves into a sophisticated life, the urbane settlement of a pleasant way, works for years with the liquor consortium Darwin Brothers before becoming a professional wine taster whose palate is respected and in demand. He travels, Europe mainly. He takes good jobs in Germany, France, Italy. He'll spend 6 months here and 6 months there. He can taste the soil on the roof of his mouth, Vincent. He can taste the year of the vintage. Sam has a taste for soil too, but for its salts, its deficiencies, its ancient complexions, its yield for toil, its limestone, its tilth. Since they are not alike, Sam often loses the track and vicinity of his brother in life, and their childhood together means nothing, vaporizes or is put away, the old froth. But when Vincent comes home to be steady again, they will catch up, if Vincent has time in his sophisticated schedule. They were stretched once against each other because of an investment deal, as a winery. Vincent convinces Sam to put too much of his lucre in it. The winery goes bankrupt. The label goes rancid. The grape grows sour. Sam only recovers a fraction of his savings. Vincent rolls with it. He borrows and invests in some other project. He likes to have money as a lubricant, a necessary evil, but he has a failing for loose credit. After that, there is an unspoken estrangement for a long while, but it thaws into a flow, and Sam learns his lesson. Wine, vintages, history, art is a better arena, and music. His brother is a man of wine and music above all, sweet vintages, soft carousal, the good decor, la dolce vita, and charisma. Sam will definitely say Vincent is charismatic. The chasm of differences has always been musical prowess though, a full stave apart. At the age of 6, Vincent goes to their piano and starts playing, whereas Sam has no music in him at all. No talent, not a note, a tardy deafness, no rhythm. He is spatial. Vincent is gifted. They are chalk and cheese, apples and oranges, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, the southern hemisphere and the war-soaked overlays of European civilization. Sam will say in his heart of hearts, for very sure, his brother is accommodating, cosy-mannered, a conversationalist, a laugh, a cordial engagement. Doesn't make enemies. It's not in his nature. When Vincent is about 12, their parents employ a piano teacher for him, a Japanese woman of very high standing, a concert pianist. She has ambitions for Vincent, grooms him as a protege for a while, but for reasons Sam is never sure about, the arrangement stops. He suspects that Vincent doesn't have the drive, the vim. It requires obsession. It requires 6 hours at the piano with an aching back a day. Vincent has natural talent and sensitivity, but not drive. He is not driven or even intense, and never unfriendly. Flamboyant financially maybe, but not a swindler. Charming. Sam will easily describe him as a charming gentleman, a charm that serves him well in the wine trade over the years. It is a business in which charm goes a long way among the well-washed money. There is one time when Vincent comes home to be steady again, and they catch up, and Vincent stays and they talk for longer than they talk for a sudden decade. They compare the total unfamiliarity of different lives. Sam's farm, his children, the house in the hard-working valley. But Vincent is despondent to his lips, and the reason for him lingering is that his partner, Gudrun, who he meets one time on an assignment in the Rhine, has decided it is best they take divergent paths through the labyrinth of forthcoming years. He's not shattered, they remain friends, but he is despondent and feeling lost, Sam can tell. There are other things, but he's not forthcoming about them. It comes at a bad time, that's all, Vincent says. How's that? Sam asks. Oh, just a bit of trouble. But that is years ago, that trouble. The time he stays and they talk. Sam meets Gudrun once. One time when Vincent is back from Europe, Spain this time. She paints, an exuberant, busting forth, immersive woman. She has convinced Vincent to buy a painting. A good copy, not the original, but nonetheless expensive, of a portrait of Schubert. Or is it a portrait of Schubert, she says. It is her favourite portrait. A good portrait, she thinks, ought to have an ambiguous identity. In this case, the painter is uncertain too. The original is attributed to Joseph Abel, and it is believed to depict a young, dapper, nascent Schubert with rosy red lips and astute silver glasses. But none of that is certain. Sam is with them after they purchase the painting, and all three of them spend a long time gazing at it, making comments, noting details. saying it is worth the money, discussing the provenance of the original, attributed to Joseph Abel. Sam thinks Gudrun is good to the core of his brother. They get along well. Vincent keeps the portrait of the young Schubert after they go different ways, always has it, and Sam is sure it reminds him of Gudrun, exuberant, busting forth and immersive. For the most part though, moving around, Vincent is unaccompanied, other than by a friend, an ally of the senses, Frederick Gray, a fellow wine buff. He has studied music, formally Frederick Gray. It is always Frederick, never Fred or Freddie, who he often meets here and there, sometimes travels with, and often mentions. Sam met Frederick Gray once too, a pompous fellow with a bow tie, bristly, unctuous, but by certainty a man with interests both shallow and deep, consonant with his brothers. Wine, music, credit, the good life. It is Frederick Gray, apparently, who recommends the bordello. Vincent has only been in town for a few days. There is the wine festival and he has secured a contract at a quite renowned local winery, the Red Moon label, Lune Rouge, and he knows no one other than the officials and organisers, smells the local air. Frederick Gray has told him, "There's a famous bordello there, a few miles out of town, Vincent. I recommend it." It is not merely a recommendation of the skin trade though, but the bordello is in that district with limited cosmopolitan stimulation and nightlife, other than wine bibbing, an oasis of wider culture. The madam will sometimes have soirees. Moreover, it is the only place in the whole rustic region that has a decent piano. That is all Sam knows about the role of Frederick Gray in that. But he does know what occurs when his brother decides to first visit the establishment. He knows because of a quick pivot of phone calls that happens at that time. First, Vincent rings their mother, which he did. Then she rings Sam to relay the story Vincent has told her, ever twisted. Sammy, rings Vincent, hello, to straighten out the story, which he is sure has become tangled. And he is sure their mother has only received a sanitised version of it for all of that. The full story, unabridged, is this. The musc de miel follows the usual procedure. When the gentleman arrives, various girls, women, hookers, let us say, ladies of direct purpose are presented to him. They introduce themselves, smile enticingly, let their perfume linger. Then he makes a selection. In Vincent's case, the only woman who speaks fluent English and is able to introduce herself with advantage is a bronze-skinned, night-eyed, dark-featured woman named Intriguing Elise. He hesitates though, because he suspects she might be a gypsy, and Frederick Gray cautions him about gypsy women and gypsy wonders. But her good English suggests otherwise. When they are alone, the woman, the hooker, the courtesan, let us say, looks at him and says, "Don't I know you?" Vincent laughs, like a gentleman, and says, "No, I've only just arrived in town," and he has never been to the bordello before, certainly. "But I know you," she insists, and Vincent suspects it is some ruse she tries with her clients. He insists they have never met. That is when she says to him, out of the blue, in an unexpected curve, "What is your mother's middle name?" Without thinking, Vincent says, "Lynette, why?" And the woman smiles and says, "Are you sure it's not Lillian?" And of course it is Lillian, not Lynette. A day of mystery after this, Vincent rings his mother to check on her health and her arteries as he does. They're always close. And to laugh about the story, which of course he presents in an altogether polite setting. He meets a woman, he says, at a fair, a boon of country produce, who claims to have psychic powers. Then she proves it by guessing his mother's middle name, which Vincent has forgotten. How she does this trick, Vincent isn't sure. He confesses to Sam, his younger brother, Sammy, the setting in the bordello, discreet, about 3 miles out of town, and relates the fact to Elise, who he says is an intriguing woman, intriguing Elise. But he still laughs, like a gentleman, and says he doesn't know how she does it. He says she might be a gypsy after all. The most Sam can gather about the attack is that several men go to Vincent's apartment. He is gagged. The neighbours hear nothing. Sam receives a call in the middle of the night from the other side of the world to say Vincent is in hospital in a coma. When Sam arrives a long flight later, he is told the coma has been induced, but the brain swelling, the crisis, has gone down and his brother is out of any deep danger. That huge head of his, bandaged and broken, comatose. But the doctor explains the worst of it. The men hold down Vincent's hands, smash his fingers. They mangle his fingers. The doctor is somewhat shaken by the savagery of it and is perplexed and doesn't understand why anyone will do that to a man's fingers. He plays piano, Sam says. The doctor shakes his head. Not anymore. While the medical people are compassionate and competent, wearing a professional concern, white and clean, and Vincent is in adequate care, his brother realises as soon as he arrives that the police are taking no interest. He asks questions. There is no actual investigation, a 2-paragraph report. But he meets a man from Red Moon, Lune Rouge, the winery, who works with Vincent, knows him, a German, bearded Lothar, who is more helpful than the police. Vincent has been there on contract 3 months. Bearded Lothar gives Sam at least some account of that passing time. But crucially, he can give no account of who the attackers might be, other than to say, given the nature of crime locally, they have probably been hired and are merely doing a job. There are gypsies in that region, but they stay out of town, and their resort to prostitution is cheap rummage in wagons, not the more upmarket services of a bordello with an established tolerance, a nurtured position, a well-groomed clientele. They have a reputation as thieves. But bearded Lothar does not think this intriguing Elise Sam mentions will have been a gypsy woman, and especially not if she speaks good English. He relates that Vincent will visit the bordello with some regularity is his estimation, and he's also seen him in town with the company of a bronze-skinned, night-eyed, dark-featured woman fitting the description of this Elise, this intriguing paramour. You should understand, the German says to Sam, wanting to defend the brothers' moral standing, that the Musc de Miel is not a speakeasy, by which he means a dive, a flea pit, a common whorehouse, an easy flesh den. The madam is a Belgian woman who, when she still has her beauty, has been concubine to politicians and important men, speaks 4 languages, knows her wines, has studied seduction, maintains certain standards. And there's a piano? Sam asks. There is, says bearded Lothar. The bordello has closed about a month before all this. The madam, the girls, have moved on, but who knows where. Whole operations re-emerge in distant places. When it first opens, the Musc de Miel, no one makes a mention. When it operates for years, no one makes a mention. When it closes down and is gone, no one makes a mention. Whenever a man of natural talent and music in his fingers moves to a new location, there is always the question, where can I find a piano? A piano is not an accordion you can bring with you. A piano is a piece of furniture. A pianist will make a mental map of all the pianos in the region, And then there is the problem of finding one that is in tune. Bearded Lotar's job, his official title, like Vincent, is Weinmeister. The job is to taste and grade and ensure consistency, to curl it on the tongue, to oversee the stages of maturation. It is not a job for coarse, blunt men, although Bearded Lotar is himself simplicity, a son of the local viticulture, the grape of the soil, and not a travelled aesthete like Vincent, although he does appreciate music, classical music as Sam calls it, being gauche. He's not a musician, Bearded Lotar, the Germanic colleague, but he enjoys a good opera. Nor does he himself frequent the bordello, the house on the outskirts, with the Belgian madam, he is quick to say. He is a married man, married 28 years, 3 daughters. There is sheet music in its cuneiform of beats and squiggles on his desk when Sam goes to his brother's apartment. The woman who lets him in, the landlady, behaves as if there has been a murder. She has cleaned the room, exorcised its demons with disinfectant. It is now tidy, with no evidence of the attack. The blood is gone. The sheet music on the desk is Schubert, the Sonata in E minor. It takes Sam back to Gudrun, exuberant, busting forth and immersive, and the portrait and the conversation that day, and young Schubert's flashing eyewear the day they purchased the painting, because as well as thinking that a good portrait ought to have an ambiguous identity, is that young Schubert or not, she also says her favourite music is ambiguous and causes questions, and she cites the Sonata in E minor. She and Vincent know what they're talking about. Sam just follows. The Sonata in E minor lacks an ending, until one day a certain musicologist realises that Schubert has put the ending in the middle. There are 2 versions of the Sonata, the long one and the short one, the version as received and the version with the ending restored. Sam gathers anyway that neither of them are easy to play. But where is the portrait of dapper young Franz Schubert? There is an empty place on the wall where he assumes it would have been, because he knows Vincent keeps the portrait and he hangs it on the wall wherever he is staying, perhaps his melancholy memento of the halcyon days with Gudrun. Gudrun, exuberant, busting forth and immersive, who, when they are together as a team, is good for his core. He travels with a chunk of luggage always. Sam travels light when he travels. Vincent travels with trunks full of treasures, and bottles of wine follow him around in crates. But where is the portrait of young Schubert, the very fine replica of the original, possibly by Joseph Abel? When Sam looks at the sheet music, its bamboozling symbolic inscriptions, whole notes, quavers, it is the long version of the sonata, produced according to a front note by the British composer Kathleen Dale in 1948, with the rondo finale. The rondo in E in the middle supplies the rondo finale. There is a sharpness you can detect in even a few sentences of conversation with a sharp man. Vincent's colleague, the German, isn't sharp, more a man of yeasts and tannins, but is quietly spoken, feels the earth's compassion for Sam, hopes to be helpful. Why is Sam there? To be there for his brother, to finalise things, to organise to have him transferred home when this is possible, and to pack up his things, sort his affairs, find some justice or some answers, piece it together, work out what happened, understand, figure out what to do. Bearded Lotar is not surprised the police are useless, and makes it clear Sam should have no expectations. Sam is not a private detective. He's a farmer and a father and a brother and a son from far away. But he asks a few questions. Was Vincent in debt? Was he sleeping with someone's wife? Who did he see? It's not a random robbery, although that might happen. The assailants know who they are after, and the attack inflicts calculated damage. The violation to Sam's own flesh and blood, his marrow, in this perverse and brutal drama makes him surge with phases of anger, vengeful. But what can you do? On the plane, the long flight, he fantasizes about revenge, hiring some hitmen, because these savages shouldn't be walking around free. Outskirts and shadows, the town, the villages, the gaps between them, the harvest lands. The soil is as red as rust. It has grown grapes since Roman times. Sometimes red dust will make a red moon. A red moon, they say, is when the moon catches fire. There is a woman in the moon, or a goddess, or a daemon, since Roman times, who will burn away the dross of former cycles. Sam likes the region on appearances. Sensible Sam. Sam, the son of certainty, uncultured in the wilds. It is peaceful, the town and the villages. Postcards. Sometimes, often, Vincent will send their mother postcards from the places he is working, because he knows she likes them. The scenery, the castles, postcards of wide-smiled Bavarian girls treading grapes. And he rings her often, or once a fortnight, to ask about her arteries, more often than Sam. Inside a coma, the music goes on. The mind still divides, and divides again by the harmonic means, and keeps counting. Sam won't think about the bones of his brother's hands, and instead he is thinking, he is a handsome man, Vincent, good-looking, a warm but manly face, the high hairline all musical people seem to have, and a long nose, the nose of a genuine gentleman, nothing intense or fearsome, no lines worn into the skin from dark days or terrible worry, but a calm face. If you meet him in a lift, you will be inclined to say, hello. Even badly beaten, Sam can see how good-looking he is. Again, compared to him, he lost the genetic raffle in the family. Their mother is a good-looking lady when she was young, stunning. She is a very good-looking woman. Vincent has her good-looking, symmetrical movie star genes. Vincent, Sam always says, could have bathed in the limelight's attraction. When Sam first arrives, he goes directly to the hospital. He's worried it might be substandard. He rehearses speeches demanding proper care. Vincent is broken, like a smashed keyboard, in his bed, in the crisp, white, modern smell, the folded linen smell of the hospital. The doctor is brief and factual, and is eager for Sam to understand whatever good news there is, looking forward, as he says. He can't estimate when Vincent might be lifted from his coma. Sam feels his first duty is to try to communicate with him. He puts the back of his hand on Vincent's cheek to let him know his brother has arrived. One of the nurses speaks some English. He'll be okay, she says out of ordinary compassion. It is sick, Sam says, meaning that savages will do this. Yes, she says. But the hospital is claustrophobic. He prefers the town's empty corners. He is sensitive to spaces, the gestures of the earth, and to the deceptive structures of men. Just as he has no way to know where Vincent actually is, as he sits next to him, he cannot claim to know where he has been, even as his brother. But he wants to call him a self-evident man. His brother is, he wants to say, genuine in all important ways. He is good at his work. He is liked by colleagues wherever he goes, as far as Sam knows. His vast interior is not some pit of dire secrets, as far as Sam knows. The hospital room is tiny and windowless. The town is mostly empty. quaint, picturesque. It is a town that doesn't like to mention very much. They are stretched once against each other as children. Sam has a toy bear. He won't part with it. It becomes a tension. Their parents insist Sam grows up. They hide the bear from him. He throws tantrums until they give it back. But one day, tired of the fuss, the older brother takes the bear and feeds it into the kitchen oven. Sam watches it burn and melt, and he howls and sobs, and he hates his brother. What does bearded Lothar know about intriguing Elise, the woman of direct purpose who knows their mother's middle name? Nothing, but it seems she is an associate, let us say. What can happen is that a working woman in a bordello, brothel, can use the establishment to gather her own private clientele and moonlight on the side, as it were, under the red moon. A practice that is often not appreciated by the bordello. But this is not to preclude the possibility that a working woman might have a client as a friend after hours. Perhaps Vincent and Elise of the intrigue, quite apart from any transactions, are friends. Women have friends, which is why they were in town together, if that is the intriguing Elise he is seen with. That is Vincent. His inclination is always to wine and dine a lady, although the German has his doubts. Like the gypsies, the working women at the discreet bordello in the Harvest Lane, the Mus de Miel, which doesn't raise a mention, won't usually wander around in bold daylight and might not be welcome in the polite corners of the town. What a thin, delicate hypocrisy. It is a solid Catholic region overall. From Vincent's apartment window you can see the church and its bell tower with hills of vineyards extending into the whole background, the contoured, wine-bibbing hills. But hypocrisy keeps the land mellow. Bearded Lothar, in fact, is more inclined to the opinion that the attack probably has nothing to do with the bordello at all. It is never a lair of specific trouble. The discreet location keeps its decorum. And he wants Sam to know as a general point, which Sam already knows, that wine tasters are not boozers, the profession is well behaved, and the medical reports show that Vincent wasn't drinking. Sam too wants to believe Vincent did nothing. Was it mistaken identity? But he is the target, the fingers. Officially, according to the police, there is no prostitution in their district, none whatsoever, or gangs of thugs, and regarding what crime there is, they will say, gypsies. There is the wine festival, and that brings in outsiders, strangers, reckless motorists, but not trouble. Sam is sitting next to Vincent. Vincent is attached to all the medical machinery. Sam, by heart, wants to describe him as gentle and always good-humoured. He is surprised then when the German has described how a man visits Vincent one time. It is surely Frederick Grey, because he is described as a pompous man in a bow tie, and goes to the winery, the Red Moon, one day, and the two men have an altercation. When was this? Some time before, not too long after Vincent has just arrived, just into his contract. Vincent and Frederick Grey tend to follow each other around Europe. Sam presumes Frederick Grey has visited, perhaps for a few days, perhaps a week, who knows. A pompous man might be given to easy altercations. But it's not Vincent. Sam of the soil, Sam, steadiness Sam of no secrets, wants to describe his brother as a man who will go far out of his way to avoid conflict, by nature. Frederick Grey comes and goes over the years. The strangest thing is when Vincent says once, "Frederick pretends to be me sometimes, you know." "Does he?" says Sam. "It's a game we play," says Vincent. I might arrive at my hotel and find Frederick has already booked in under my name. What is the remonstration about? Bearded Lothar doesn't know. But it doesn't faze Vincent. He shrugs his shoulders. He holds up his gentleman's nose. The man comes to his place of work. They yell at each other. Then the man leaves. Then Vincent shrugs his shoulders about it and goes back to work. And his colleagues think it is a harmless tete-a-tete. They accept that men have passions. It is the only other thing that Bearded Lothar can offer. Bearded Lothar thinks it is a gambler's tiff, perhaps. Sam says no. Vincent isn't a gambler. That is not his vice. Frederick Grey might be. He doesn't know. That is all Sam knows about Frederick Grey in that context. He is grey, Frederick Grey. Nothing is black and white about Frederick Grey. Although he is unmoving, Sam knows that Vincent has an ever-extending head on the inside. Compared to him, Vincent contains continents, multitudes of illusions, musics, plural. Sam's explanation for his brother's prodigy is always that somehow Vincent's inner world is musical while his own is not. From a young age, Vincent can just think in music. Sam is not like that at all. He doesn't know how musical people do that, even less transcribe it to their fingertips coherently, beautifully, sublimely, celestially, perfectly, as if from the inside of numbers. But even untranscribed, he is certain that inside his coma, Vincent's huge headspace is thinking in that musical way that Sam's arithmetic mind, his spatial grasp, thinking engineering, doesn't comprehend. That's what he thinks when he looks at Vincent. He's in a coma. He's not asleep. He's listening. There is music going on, but there's no sign of it. There are things going on, but unseen. Sam, the spatial man, imagines the wide within of Vincent's coma to be an extended, echoing palace. If you knock on the door, it can take days, weeks, for someone to find their way through the maze of hallways, ballrooms, banquet halls, salons, well-appointed, tasteful, to answer it. Sam is too stolid, too arithmetic, too impressed by structures, ligatures, too spatial, to believe very seriously in psychic powers. Their mother does, which is why she is excited about the story of her middle name. "You won't believe it, Sam," she says when she rings him. And he doesn't. He rings Vincent, who swears it happened. "Not only does she know Mum's middle name," he says, "she makes me forget it." Which is what amazes Vincent most. She made him forget it. "It's freaky, Sam," he laughs. Sam reads a newspaper story once about a man who has been in a coma, and afterwards he has psychic powers. He has found them in his coma. He wants to speak, to react. His mind grows psychic legs in frustration. He can move objects. He can start fires. The fire tearing down the building has fingers of flame. They make shadow puppets on the vine-covered hills. Sam is thinking about his childhood. Dislocated, suddenly flown thousands of miles into a nest of red hills, the valley of the red moon, where everyone you speak to has the stain of red wine on their lips. The boon of the soil is the subterranean water, hidden springs and hill trickles. The whole life of the region flows beneath the surface. And he is thinking what Bearded Lothar said, that, of course, the Belgian madam does not own the bordello herself. There are business interests behind it, beneath it, but that is not part of Bearded Lothar's world. There are a few gentlemen who work at Red Moon, Lune Rouge, because it is the largest enterprise in the district, who are probably clients there beside Vincent. They might know, but Sam isn't going to go to his colleagues asking which of them spends their time at the Madame's soirees. The only person connected to the bordello, the Musk Honey, is the piano tuner. The landlady mentions him in relation to the murder she is appalled that has happened in one of her apartments. Where there is a piano, there must be a tuner nearby. The local piano tuner is also the local jeweller, a man named Snyder, whose store is on the main street. Sam goes there and asks him, does he know Vincent? He does, and he has heard of the attack and is shocked. His English is half-formed, but he is the man who tunes the piano at the Musque de Miel. When we say jeweller, his store is also full of antiques and what Sam calls junk, including at the back the innards of a pianola lying in a bizarre industrial mangle of shattered notes. He notices a bust of Franz Liszt. He's a man with a gentleman's nose, a small bust, residual on a shelf. Do you know, Sam asks, if Vincent had a painting, a portrait of Schubert, Franz Schubert? Did he ever show you a portrait of Schubert, the young Schubert? Snyder understands. Yes, he says, Vincent has. But he is a wine lover, Snyder. He has a blue nose. That is his association with Vincent, he says. Not a painting, not a bordello, not even a piano. Even so, Sam finds him unforthcoming. There are things he isn't saying. Are there other pianos in the district? Only a few. None of them melodious. There is an organ in the church. The landlady's murder scenario moves her to list suspects. She names everybody in the neighbourhood she doesn't like. Did Vincent bring lady friends home? No, she says, very sure. Sam shows her the vacant space on the apartment wall. I think there was a painting here, he says. Do you remember if there was a painting here? She doesn't know. It is in the abandoned building that the fire rages and plays and cycles through its colours. And although, by the blue nose of the piano tuner, nothing exterior advertises it as a house of iniquity, Sam can see the flames eating through the floors as if it is fully furnished, and sees the chandeliers falling and the drapes on fire and the lace and the shattering mirrors as the slate roof gives way. The hot elements have an inner drama, and like an opera, call upon all the arts, a synergy of sound and movement and light and costume, with themes of adultery, betrayal, revenge, the destructive energies of our weaknesses. The dislocated brother watches the way the configuration pursues the lines of least resistance. He watches the way the vines in the night suck moisture from the hidden springs and aquifers. What is it that he needs, Vincent, with us but so far away? Sam tries to contact Gudrun, exuberant, busting forth, immersive, to let her know what has happened. But how long is it since she saw Vincent? Sam finds a number, leaves messages. No answer. He rings their mother to report. She cries again. He speaks to the nurses. Can we play him some music? He asks. They think that is possible. They can put a CD player beside his bed. Schubert, he says, the Sonata in E, the long version of the rondo finale, where it is not without a resolution, where the middle is the end. The ending without a resolution in this story is several men go to Vincent's apartment. He is gagged. The neighbours hear nothing. Sam's whole nervous system winces in silence when he thinks of Vincent's fingers, the joints, the ligatures, and he clings to the idea that inside his coma, his brother is nevertheless full of music. When Sam needs to think, he seeks the silence. When Vincent needs to think, he He sits at the piano. He tries to contact Frederick Gray too. He can't locate him. No matter what their altercation that last time, Sam is sure Gray will be grieved to hear of Vincent's condition. He might drop his pompous facade when it's the last time he has seen Vincent or hears from him. Although maybe he thinks he is probably wrong to think that someone who studies music and whose mind divides and divides again by harmonic means and who knows his wine and wears a bow tie is necessarily attuned to the beautiful and the good. A complicating factor has always been that Gudrun, even Gudrun, exuberant, busting forth, immersive, and Mr. Gray never like each other very much. Sam doesn't like him much either. There are times when he thinks Mr. Gray makes fun of Vincent and treats him as a lesser. It's funny how we can put our own brother down, but if someone else does it, we are riled and acutely defensive. But that is all he knows about Vincent and Frederick Gray, who over the years comes and goes, and who has formal musical training. Is it shameful how little he knows about his brother? How much does his brother really know about him? He is sure to visit Vincent every day, in the morning and again in the evening. One evening he arrives and there are fresh flowers. He asks the nurse who brought them. She says a woman, bronze-skinned, night-eyed, with dark features. It is after that, in the claustrophobia, at the end of visiting hours, out of curiosity or compulsion, because the night is long, because he comes from afar yonder, and the empty corners and the outskirts tell tales, that he drives out to the Musc de Miel to see it, even though abandoned. It is on fire when he arrives. There was no one. It self-combusts. Arson never happens in the district either. Vincent feeds the bear into the oven. The 3 stories fall into a blazing, bankrupt heap. The orange glow throbs, bobbing across the dark Roman hills, shaped with lines of tented vines pruned hard into obedient rows. Presumably the piano, all the furnishings, the beds and lounges, and all the musk honey is removed, but from the stubborn, hard-wired gate, Sam thinks he can see a piano burning on its graceful legs in the collapsing embers, played thus by white fingers of flame, sensitive to yearning. Vincent can answer questions in due course when they bring him back. Perhaps he finds an explanation for the middle name trick. Whenever a man of natural talent and music in his fingers moves to a new location, there is always the question of, where can I find a piano? A piano is not an accordion you can bring with you. A piano is a piece of furniture. A pianist will make a mental map of all the pianos in the region. And then there is the problem of finding one that is in tune.